everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the Good Swill hunting event in which Fel'Dras and the Armored Boar are added to the game. So let's get into it. First off, let's go with Fel'Dras. She is an epic and is fairly unique in what she does. She's one of the very first magic counters, or actually the first specific magic counters in the entire game. Her ability is boosted at a 3-to-1 ratio, boosted by all enemy magic. So the more magic kingdoms the person has, the more damage this will do, and the more magic in general that they have in their troops, the more damage it will do. It'll be a little bit hard to predict, kind of like the Pride Guard from from Leonis Empire. I always forget that thing's what it's called. From Leonis Empire, that thing that has a 3-to-1 ratio, or 4-to-1 ratio based on armor, which has a 3-to-1 based on all their magic. So it's going to be a little bit hard to calculate that all the way out. But that is going to be quite a bit of extra damage, especially since it's been meta for ages and still is to get all the magic kingdoms first when you're getting level 10 kingdoms. So the fact that there's actually a slight counter to that now is pretty interesting. She also summons a Armored Boar, which is the other new one, which we'll be getting to in 1 second. Whenever there are 13 or more reds on the board, which works pretty well because she actually does use red. So you can just use a red spawner with her and it works out. Orc Bond, there's not that many good orcs. Actually, she's literally the only good orc in the entire game right now, actually. Mystic Slayer, this will be pretty good against things like Famine, especially with the armored piercing. Mystic Slayer combined with armor piercing is pretty much an instant kill to Famine, as well as pretty much any mythic for the most part. So that'll be really good. There was also a lot of mythics added kind of with the new class that counts as a mythic, as well as some of the Zolkiri synergies slightly. So that can counter those pretty well as well. So let's go over... Oh, and of course it gets the 2 Arcane Blood Trait Stones. You'll definitely want to stock up on those. If you don't need them for something else, you definitely want to get them just to have them on reserve. But what also is really good about this event, before we even look at the Armored Boar, there are Arcane Stealth Trait Stones. This hasn't been around for like 4 months now, but they're finally here again. You can use this to upgrade the Archer class, which is arguably one of the best classes in the game. It has the Fast trait, which gives 50% chance to any weapon in the entire game, which is huge. And on top of that, it has the legendary ability, which used to be basically what the Great Maul used to be, which is a 15% chance to instantly kill. It just doesn't have the Devour on top of it. But yeah, definitely, if you can afford it, you have the Spear of Glory. Buy a bunch of Arcane Stealth Trait Stones and get your Archer class fully traded. It is definitely worth it. Anyways, the Armored Boar is also somewhat decent, so you'll be getting him too. He is kind of similar in mechanics as far as how the Boar Rider works, except, of course, slightly different. A little bit more versatile, in my opinion, actually. It destroys a row, which is different from the Boar Rider, because the Boar Rider removes a row. And it deals a bunch of damage to the first enemy. It deals first enemy just like the other one, just like the Rider. But it's also boosted by skulls. If I'm not mistaken, this Armored Boar is the first troop in the entire game that's a common to have... This is a common, not a rare. I just upgraded mine. The first common in the game to have a 3x boost ratio. Anything with a 3x boost ratio is going to be really good early on. So it'll be nice whenever this troop gets on into the gold chest, because it will really help out newer players quite a bit. But since you can get them now, you definitely want to get at least one. Especially if you're extremely new and you can't afford to buy like a bunch of glory packs. You definitely want to get at least one Armored Boar pack, because a 3x ratio on something like this, that is very powerful. The fact that he destroys a row too, you're essentially doing 4 additional damage per skull that he destroys with his ability, because destroying a skull automatically does 1 damage, plus he's doing 3 times that on his boost ratio. Other than that, you really don't need his traits. Maybe Beast Spawned if you want to like get him with the all beast team, because he's a beast, of course. But other than that, he has like Grudge and Armored. They'll help, but they aren't really gonna do that much. So let's just get over to the redeem code now. C7, N8, BA, XF4M. And of course, that is the usual of 2 maps, 1 gem key, 200 souls, and 2,500 gold. Before I get into some teams with these, of course, Grosh'Nak has enough troops. I'm just going to be doing a quick overview on every single troop in the kingdom. Personally, I do find Grosh'Nak to be one of the weaker kingdoms out there right now, but it does have a couple select ones that have their uses. Armored Boar, I already went over, but I would definitely consider it's arguably one of the best troops in this kingdom as well. With that 3 times boost ratio, how well it'll work early on in the game, the board control it has, and just all those factors make it really well. Cyclops is also a somewhat decent troop from this kingdom. Traits don't really do too much for it, but it's going to be boosting based on its attack whenever it deals damage. And since this isn't physical damage, it's actually magic damage, or whatever you'll call like cast damage in this game. So even if they have something like armored or stone skin or granite skin, despite this boosting on attack, it actually does full damage through any kind of trait or stuff like that, because it's not actually skull damage, it's magic damage. And it does that at a 1-to-1 ratio too, so you start getting his attack up, and it'll pretty much just chop through everything in one shot. Dark Song is okay. It's mostly used to counter goblin teams because that double damage it does to anything with green mana. As far as traits, nothing really too good unless you want to get all the way to Nature Link, but of course, or Nature Spirit, I mean. But that's going to be pretty costly because she is indeed an epic. Drake Rider, there might be some dragon synergies in the future. For the most part, as far as dragon builds go, you'd normally just use Bone Dragon instead of him. So he's kind of useless compared to how weak he is compared to a Bone Dragon. Elf Eater has never been good, mostly because elves have never been good. Deals double damage to Fae on his ability. And it does have 2 times skull damage to elves and 40% to devour elves. But there's no good elves, so it doesn't really do anything. Fel'Dras is actually really strong in this kingdom as well. One of the few. Of course, we already explained most on her. What really makes her unique, of course, is that boosted by all magic at a 3-to-1 ratio. Nothing that's really been in this game before. Plus, she has the opportunity to summon and stuff like that. Grosh'Nak is arguably the worst legend in the game, and possibly arguably one of the worst troops in the game. Not quite sure what to really say about it. Yeah, his ability's weak, his summon is weak. Like, if you are a really, really low level, he can be good. Anything after about level 50, 100, I would say you never need him again. Don't trade him at all, and pretty much ignore him as a troop. If you get him, that will be the most disappointing key drop ever. Krog the Dread. The fact that it can summon a random daemon is the only thing it really has going for it. It can also synergize somewhat well with troops that hit like all through the back, if you want to put it in something like that. But it is relatively weak for a legend, in my opinion. You're basically never going to be able to get that 5% Devour off on skull damage. You're better off just using the Archer class, which you can actually upgrade this week if you buy a bunch of armored boars. Or you can just go something like the Assassin class, which has a 10% chance to instantly kill the back troop. It's basically just like this, except instead of a Devour, you'll just be killing by other means. But the percent difference that it has, I'm surprised it didn't make this 10% or something, because I haven't seen this thing Devour once. I haven't even been seeing it that much, but that might also be why. But overall, not that good of a troop. I hope it eventually gets a buff of some kind. Orc, pretty useless. Destroys a bunch of skulls and then gains 4 attack if it is damaged. Damage would be if it has any HP damage on it. If it's anywhere in the red, it would get that attack. But it's pretty useless because it gains extra attack, but it's destroying the skulls that it needs to use that attack. So it's denying its own benefit. So it's a bit weird with that. Plus, there's no Doom in the entire kingdom of Grosh'Nak, nor any kind of good synergies with Doom. So the only thing he really has going for is Firelink, which if you get a Surge, you'll be able to get that up real quick, but still, you're just denying your own stuff with it. Anyways, Summoner is okay. Normally, you use Dark Master instead. Dark Master does have mana conflict, but it does have a better ability. This one gives 4 life to everything and then summons a level 20 ghoul. This ghoul summon is pretty good compared to the Dark Master, which only summons the slave thing. I forget what it's actually called. A thrall. But because it's purple, it does have mana conflict. At least with a ghoul, it's brown, so it doesn't have any mana conflict with it. So Summoner is pretty decent in the early game. This Old Kingdom is kind of more towards an early game lean. I would say anything after level 100, you would never need this troop ever again. And Wyvern is very weak. Just deals damage to the first enemy and then poisons the last enemy. There is really no synergy in the entire game that works well with. Not even other dragons or anything. So he's kind of just a useless troop, except for Arena. He's actually really good in Arena, but that's about it. The only place you ever need him. Anyways, let's actually get into these battles now with the two new troops. So we'll just head straight over to a meta team. One of the most metas. And it looks like this game ended up overwriting my teams that I already had. Yay! Good thing I already remember what both of them were. That has been a bit of a problem lately, is that for some reason there's like an overwrite glitch in which if you don't start a game, sometimes it will not save the troops that you had. So real quickly now, we'll just build them on the fly because I already remember exactly what both of them were, I think. Let's see, Dryad and Stargazer. It would help if I can spell. That'd be amazing. Sorry about this, guys. I can't help the game doing this, though. Dryad and Stargazer. I also just put it in the complete wrong order, but I'll fix that in 1 second. Don't know why I didn't just put in Gazer. Put that there. Switch that there. And yellow, yellow green. So let's just get this in. And, of course, it's still called Stealthy from the previous video. Or actually tomorrow's video. That video is not even uploaded yet. For once, I actually did a video in advance. Anyways, let's get right into this. This is more towards a beginner deck. It has one of my favorite combos that has kind of fallen off lately. The Cyclops, Dryad, Stargazer combo. I used to use this quite a bit, but it's not that viable anymore with how much the meta has shifted. But for early game, it's really cheap. It's a common, a rare, and another rare. So they're really easy to obtain. Pretty much any newer player will be able to get this fairly easily without too big of a hassle. So right off the bat here, we'll let it take those skulls, I do believe. And just buff up our Cyclops as big as we can get him. And he's just going to be casting and doing a lot of work for us. So he's going to get that stun off. It looks like our removal did mess up the board for him, so that's beneficial for us. And we got a really a lucky extra turn there. So we'll be able to use that. We'll get our Cyclops up. And like I was saying earlier, Cyclops hits through stone skin and stuff because it's not physical damage. It's magical damage or whatever we call these kind of things. Like you can see, it has 50% damage reduction from skulls. But because this is just, even though it's associated with attack, since it's actually an ability and not skulls, it does full damage. So we'll just let that Valkyrie cast. But we're going to use this, and that will almost kill him. Or actually, never mind, it will kill him. Because it does our attack plus the magic that we had. So I think we had 14 magic, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So that just straight up killed him. We'll take the skulls and pretty much everything at this point. Just completely kill. We'll be able to heal him up. Get a shield on him. Make sure he doesn't die. It would... We did just give him some greens, but nothing too big a deal. It'll just stun our boar or something like that next turn. So right off the bat, let's just keep getting our Cyclops up. I wish he would stun us already because now we're going to get mana and he's going to drain something I don't want him to drain. Probably our Cyclops. Okay, never mind. It'll take skulls instead. It triggers on our shield. We'll be able to take that and an extra turn on it too to kill off the Valkyrie. We could heal up if we wanted to again. Let's actually use this Tusk thing before we win without even showing it. Pretty self-explanatory here. So like you can see, it's 14 damage here, but we're going to be doing a lot extra from that. Pretty much every single skull we destroy is going to be doing 4 additional damage. 3 because of the boost ratio, and 1 because any skull that you destroy is automatically 1 damage. So this should bring it up to 22 damage, doing it all the way up here. Plus we get all the mana from everything else. And as you can see, it did trigger there. It got a little bit overlapped. If we're, it looked like it said 20 plus 2 additional ones. It probably did them individually. The 2 that we destroyed for the plus 2, and then the 20 for the plus 6 that we got from destroying 2 skulls. That's why it showed 2 numbers there weirdly. So we'll just take these browns. That's almost a one. Actually, that is a one-shot. And at this point, we'll just one-shot everything until the end of this match. Oh, and we're frozen. The amount of turns I have lost from not paying attention to being frozen is very high. Very, very high. Way higher than it should be.
Mana surge.
So now we just have to kill a pesky manticore before it stuns us and drains us a billion more times.
Mana surge. Mana surge. Mana surge.
Come on, Surge. He'll take the skulls, so it doesn't matter.
Mana surge.
Oh, we don't have a shield up. I actually thought we still had a shield up, so he's going to get a lot of damage out on that. But that should be his death. So yeah, really good team to try considering early on with that boar. If you really want to, you can just replace that boar with a Valkyrie instead and still make this team work. Because we all know anything without a Valkyrie these days is just absolutely horrible since it won't be able to get all those skulls. And now we're up against something pretty annoying as well. So let me switch out this team. See if I can even remember. This one was slightly more complicated. I know we used the loop in it. Hellcat. Alchemist. I completely forget what I leaded it with though. Alchemist or... Oh, I remember now. Mirrorlift. And lastly, of course, the new troop that we actually need to show. Which is Fel'Dras. That's not the banner though. We need brown red for banner. And this is actually a pretty interesting team. Because we're going to be getting... I think I just passed it. There he is. Brown red. Oh, this is even the orc banner that we get from this kingdom as well. So it all works out. We're actually going to be getting quite a bit of Firelink bonus. We're getting one there. We're getting one from Mirrorlift. I don't believe you have one now. So we're getting 2 there, plus we're getting an extra one from Banner. So that's a total of 6 extra reds per red match. So 2 red matches, regardless of if they surge or not. That's going to be a Mirrorlift up. And we're kind of just going to be able to loop this pretty well between all of their abilities. We are up against a little bit of an annoying team. If any of them trigger their ability, it's going to be completely put us behind. As long as that Mercy misses her ability, we should be good to go. But if it hits, we're pretty much screwed. There's nothing we're going to be able to do after that. After it gets a bunch of mana, it's going to get Maul up. It's going to kill something that, like our loop or something, and we're just going to lose from that point. Luckily, I do not see anything where it'll really benefit from using its ability. It's going to get some mana, but nowhere's near like a complete landslide victory. Let's see. Nope. Okay, it's going to get some more mana. And it decided not to cast, so that's somewhat good for us. We'll be able to steal a little bit more from him before he gets anything done. So we even got an extra turn there too, or double extra turn. Very lucky. Ideally, we'd want brown, or I mean not brown, red or green right now. But I'll take these purples just to make sure he can't do anything with his Mercy if he decides to do it now. And he did, so that's really good. We did accidentally cascade that down, but not too big a deal. He's only got a little bit of mana. Oh, wait, that's a lot more mana than we needed to give him. Of course, cascades, please. Well, at this point, we're in a bit of trouble. It depends what he devours. I might need to re-show this team because... Oh, the extra turn! The extra turn save. Whoa. Okay, that was very lucky. That was ridiculously lucky. If we can get this looping, we just so turn this around. Also, how high is their magic? We might be able to sneak in a kill out of nowhere. Like, we could start adding these up and see exactly how much he does. Let's see, 8. My math is so bad. Let's see, 17, 17. That's 34. 8 is 42. 42 and 57. 57 divided by 3 is 19. Am I right? So that would be 38 damage. That's nowhere near enough. Okay, let's keep looping this. We need it to end on a skull. We need him getting a skull. Or never mind, we can just do that too. Mirrorlift killing it. End the map. Look at this turnaround. I love matches like this. From like almost losing instantly to completely annihilated beyond belief.
Mana surge.
I don't even think we're going to be able to get the arrow off. No, we're actually going to be able to.
Mana surge.
We're not going to be able to get the summon off though. I don't believe. Let's see, just double checking everything. Like that, we'll use Mirrorlift, and we'll finally get the arrow off, hopefully. I don't want Famine doing anything.
Mana surge.
I guess we'll just kill it with a normal arrow. I would have killed it regardless, though. Oh, and it said no target there, because there was actually enough reds that we could have summoned a Armored Boar into first slot, and that would work really good because Marilith uses green, and this team, after the first one dies, uses everything except for green. So as soon as our Marilith dies, which is pretty likely because she has such a high attack but low armor and HP, as soon as she dies, we'll just be able to replace her with a Armored Boar, which would have just happened there if she happened to have died to something like the Maul, Devourer, or anything like that. So at this point, we just need to kill the last little Mercy, and that will do it.
Mana surge.
Let's see if we can get it killed with the new troop. I keep forgetting her name. Fel'Dras. So we'll use it on the brown here. That should be enough mana.
Mana surge.
And let's see if the boost ratio will even be enough to kill it. I don't know for sure if it will be. So that's only going to be not enough damage. So we won't be able to arrow it down. We're just going to have to skull it and call it a match. Yeah, our boost ratio, you'd really need to get like really high magics on the enemy team. Like something like summoners. Summoners normally get upwards of 20 magic because most of them tend to summon a fully leveled troop. So things like summoners and stuff she would be pretty good against, like Giant Spider and I don't know, what are the other really popular ones? That's the only one that's really popular in late game as far as summoning. But early game, you can kind of see Dark Master and other troops like that. And the summoner itself is also used pretty often early on in the game. But anyways, that will do it for this video. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Feel free to ask anything in the comment section below, and I will get to it. Anyways, have a good day, and that will do it for this video. Goodbye.